GMA Health Alert, a concern as we get deeper into flu seasons. Hospitals in the U.S. are starting to implement seasonal visitor restrictions. That's always a sign. Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. Tara Narula is here. Let's get right to it, because when we look across the pond, things are not going well over there, and health officials are really sounding the alarm. What does all that mean? What's going on in England? What does that mean for us here in the U.S., especially with the holidays?
Yeah, well, when you look at England, they're seeing an earlier flu season than normal, primarily driven by young adults and children, and also a record number of hospitalizations. So last week, Robin, close to 17 hospitalizations in that week, 1.5 times the number of cases compared to this time last year in England in terms of the flu, 10 times more cases than 2 years ago. They have not peaked yet in England, but they are taking some measures as well in terms of implementing mask policies for staff and patients at several hospitals there. We know that England or other places can be a marker for what is going to happen here, because their flu season happens a few weeks earlier than ours. And so, you know, people are concerned here. We have low numbers of cases so far, but they are increasing. And when you look at last year, we had an extremely severe flu season, close to 500,000 hospitalizations, 38,000 deaths. The strain that is circulating most, we talked about on the show here recently, subclade K, which is a variant of H3N2, seems to have a little bit more severe symptoms and maybe more severely affects the elderly and children.
Does this year's vaccine match the variant?
Well, this particular variant has undergone about 7 mutations since the summer, and so it's not a perfect match. But when they look at studies, again, abroad in England, they have found that the vaccine lowers the risk of hospitalization for children by about 70 to 75%, which is really good, and adults by about 30 to 40%. And we know that even when it's not a perfect match, vaccines for the flu can decrease complications, hospitalizations, deaths. We know that complications from the flu can include things like pneumonia, sinusitis, ear infections, kidney and respiratory failure, and if you have underlying medical problems, it can exacerbate those. And so who's most at risk? Well, we're all at risk, but in particular those over 65, kids under 5, pregnant individuals, immunocompromised, and those with underlying conditions like asthma or cardiovascular disease.
And as you said, last year, 38,000 deaths.
Yes, we have to remind people of that too, because again, everyone thinks it's not that serious, it's just a cold, but no, it can really cause complications and death, as you said.
All right, Dr. Narula, thank you so much.